What's going on, everybody? This is Rick from Studio Spades, and today I'm going to show you how to use the extrude tool in Blender Exploder tool. I added this function quite recently, but it's one of my favorites actually, because it's a great tool to make awesome fractals. So I'm starting off by dragging in a Exploder tool and making sure that everything is centered to the cursor or the world origin by pressing Shift S and then a selection cursor. I like to keep my projects clean, so I'm putting it in a collection, everything that I imported. And for this tutorial I'm going to use an icosphere, but it basically works on any mesh that you're trying to extrude. As usual, adding a new collection for the object as well. So make sure the object you're extruding is in a collection and hide that collection, and then add it back in by selecting it here in Exploder tool, and then it will pop back up on your screen. Okay, so the extrude section is over here under extrude, and yeah, it's just a handy way to extrude the faces of your mesh up to 4 levels. So you have 4 extrude sections here, extrude 1, 2, 3, and 4. But every level demands more of your PC. It gets gradually harder. So if you're not using all the levels, it's best to stick to the amount of levels you're using. So if you're only extruding 1 level, make sure that extrude is set to 1, etc. So let's start with 1 level, extrude 1, and we can start extruding here, but you can see it's not really extruding, it's just scaling up the object. Well, that's because we haven't checked extrude individual, which makes sure that you extrude all faces individually, creating new geometry and new edges. So you can also scale down the faces, which is the second half of the extrude section here. Under this white bar here, you can scale up or down the faces that you've just extruded as well. So let's keep that at 1 for now. And of course, as usual with Blender Exploder tool, you can always use modifiers to animate these parameters as well. So you can select a modifier in the drop down here. So let's select noise, for example, which slowly animates the extrusion outward and also inward in this case. And I don't like the inward extrusion because, I don't know, it looks kind of janky to me. So in order to fix that, you can fix that, of course. In order to fix that, we need to go to noise modifier 1, which we're using right now. So let's close the extrude function for now and go to the noise modifiers. And this extruding inward is basically a problem that occurs. Well, it's not really a problem, but I don't like it, so I consider it a problem. It's a problem that occurs through the range mapping. So if you change the minus range map from -1, from 0 to -1, all the values will be positive and the extrusion will only happen outward, and the noise will only modify it outwardly. As you can see here, there's no more inward extrusion. So that's one way to fix that problem. Let's go back to extrude and just crank up the extrude level a bit. So whatever value you put in here, and this is true for every parameter in Exploder tool, every value you put in here, it gets multiplied by the modifier. So a value of 4 means 4 gets multiplied by the values of noise 1. I hope that's clear. And you can always add more modifier math by adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing with the second modifier. So you can get even more crazy results that way. You can subtract the value of 4. So this means that the extrusion is set to 4. Let's disable it for now. It's set to 4. This is 0, the original shape. Let's put it back to 4. And if you subtract it with noise, it will subtract from 4. That's how the whole modifier system works here. And of course, we can always use the sphere fall off as well. Select it here. That's a nice way of adding more control to this extrusion and hopefully to your motion design. Let's turn off the sphere fall off for now. Maybe scale down the faces a bit. And maybe make it a bit less extruded for a nicer shape. Okay, so let's go to extrude level 2. Oh wait, it's not working. Well, like I said, you need to enable it first in order for it to work. Because right now, even if you're not putting in any value right now, keep an eye on the frame rate here on the top left, which has 24. If I put on all levels, it doesn't seem to be doing a lot right now. That's probably because I'm working with an instance. Yeah, I'll dive into that later. But generally, using more extrude levels is way more demanding for a PC, but apparently not right now. Okay, so let's extrude the second level further. Now, you might have noticed that extrude level 2, 3, and 4 have an extrude type as well. That means you can choose where you want to extrude from the previous extrude layer. So that means that the first one, of course, does not have this option because there's nothing before the first one. But 2, 3, and 4 do have an extrude type where you can choose what side of the face of the or the extrusion you want to extrude from. Well, what does that mean? Well, if we select top 1, that means it extrudes from the top face of the first layer. If we choose side 1, it'll extrude from the sides of the first extrude layer. You can see these sides moving here. I'll just switch to a more clear material for now, a matte cap. So again, let's put it to 0. This is the original first extrusion we just had. And if you extrude from the side 1, you can see the sides growing. And if you switch to top 1, you can see the top growing. And this also works in extrude layer 3 and 4, but it works on every previous extrusion layer. So 3 has top 1, side 1, all 1, which means all faces. And it goes up to 2. And the fourth one, it's 1, 2, and 3. So you can extrude from various positions, creating very unique shapes, very unique fractal shapes, which is what this extrude function is very good for. So something to keep in mind if you like to vary what is happening in your... oh, sorry, I'm using the wrong one. If you want to vary the shapes that you are creating in Blender Explorer tool, just make sure you switch the extrude type every now and then, because you can get really crazy shapes that way. So let's extrude it a bit, maybe scale it down again, the top face. You can make it really pointy as well. And let's enable the third layer. And extrude that again. Now this goes from the top of the second one, the second extrude layer. Maybe we can choose the sides. You can create a nice sort of beveled mesh on top of the original extrusion that way. Maybe scale down the faces as well to create more of that bevel effect. And let's put layer 4 on and extrude that as well. Let's see what's... Oh, that looks pretty cool. I like that. You never really know what's gonna happen once you've enabled a couple of layers. You know, it's can be quite unpredictable. not because it's not working correctly, but yeah, a lot of stuff can be happening at once in Explorer 2, especially when you've animated some of these parameters automatically with the modify system, which I'm going to do now. So let's enable maybe the sine wave modifier on the second level, and let's lengthen the project time so it won't snap back to the beginning of the time. Playhead here down below. Yeah, I really like the sine wave modifier, which just oscillates between the value you've put in here and 0. Sorry, this value here. Let's see, can I enable loop one on another? Yeah, that makes it grow over time as well. Maybe add a sine wave, see how that looks. Yeah, just lots of options for animating things automatically. I've still not used any keyframes in here, as you can see, which is yeah, why I like this product. Let me scale some stuff down or up, see what happens. Now, of course, the geometry is protruding through other geometry, which might not always give the best result. So be careful with that. But yeah, you can get some very unique and interesting shapes, all animated without a single keyframe. And of course, we can use the fall offs here as well. So let's enable the sphere fall off for all these effects here. Select the sphere fall off. And that way, when you move it around, the effect disappears and we go back to the original icosphere. And when the sphere gets close, only the effect where it's in range of the center point here of the sphere fall off, it will grow or enable the effect. Quite gradually, as you can see, because you can see some points here moving as well. So yeah, pretty cool. And we also have a linear fall off in Explorer 2 as well. So let's switch to linear. Linear, linear, linear. And that's just a tad different because it's linear, not spherical. So just select the linear fall off here. The other side of the linear fall off is a child of that object. So it's in here. It's called end. You can move that on the y-axis to shorten the linear fall off, as you can see here. And that basically means that whatever is in between the linear fall off and the linear fall off end will get enabled or disabled gradually. So we can move it around. Oh, let's do it on the y-axis. Pretty cool. Now, if you're quite observant, you might have noticed that it goes from disabled to enabled to disabled again. If you don't like that, you can always switch it yourself. Let me just move myself here and select Blender Explorer tool. And in order to switch it up, just add a linear fall off and go to a linear fall off clamp. Add it, press tab to go into it. In version 2.15, I'm still working on a menu where you can switch this in the modifier window here on the right. Right now, I don't have that option yet. And like I said, you can see that this clamp, which represents the linear fall off effect, goes from black to white to black. If you want a truly linear one, just go to, well, go to the linear fall off clamp and connect the black to white one. and that will solve that problem. See, now it's truly linear. Whatever is on the right of the linear fall off is enabled, and when I slide it to the left, it is always disabled. So like I said, I'm gonna make sure that you can switch this on the fly in the modifier window soon, but that's a lot of work to connect all those nodes for every effect and object. So give it some time, but for now, please just stick to adding a clamp object. I also have a clamp object for the sphere fall off that does the exact same thing I just explained. So if you want to clamp the fall off effect and make it tighter, use that effect, add it to your geometry nodes set up in Exploder tool, and just switch the linear fall off in there. And that's it. I hope you learned something. Well, maybe one final thing. Of course, I keep forgetting this. Don't forget that Blender Exploder tool is fully procedural and works with everything you put into it. So if I'm going to add a torus and add it to the object, boom, it does the same thing, but it's being affected by the fall off. So let's remove that for now. And there's also a bit of noise on it as well. Let's turn off noise so it's truly symmetrical. But yeah, fully procedural, works on any mesh you put into it. But you might want to watch out. Don't put very complex meshes into the extrude section, because if you're gonna extrude a model of a car, for example, with lots of geometry, yeah, your computer is not going to be thankful for that. It'll probably crash Blender. So try to use it on simple base meshes only. And that's it. I hope you learned something. Keep an eye out for Blender Exploder tool. I've been updating it for almost a year now for free. All updates are free, and you can get it at Blender Market. So I hope you learned something, and take care. Until next time.